Hey guys, what's up? It's Kytia with another question. So I wanted to ask you guys if you had any questions about the newlywed season of marriage. A lot of people have a really perfect one. I did not. So if you have any questions about what it's like to be a newlywed, go ahead and leave one right here on this question sticker right there. All right. So you guys sent in some really great questions about what is newlywed season really like. So I'm gonna get down and dirty into that season, how it was for me, and some kind of answers that might help you. So if you want to know more about that, stay tuned.
God is the father that I never knew I had.
God simply is everything.
God is faithful.
God is my strength.
God is always the answer.
God is a promise keeper.
God is very powerful.
God is my wonderful counselor.
God is compassionate to me.
God is perfect.
Love. God is love. You may have a lot of questions about your walk with God, so let's talk about it. Hello and welcome to another L'amour in Christ video. I'm Kytia L'amour, and today we're talking about life as a newlywed. We've seen it in the movies, the honeymoon stage and everything like that. Mine wasn't like that. A lot of people's aren't like that. The newlywed stage is a lot about getting to know each other, especially if you're like me and waited to save yourself until marriage and did not move in until you're married. There's a lot of adjustments there. So today I'm going to be answering a few questions that you guys sent in after I put up this sticker on Instagram. Thank you for collaborating with me on this video, and I'm looking forward to getting into your responses. Is there anything else that I need to say? No, I think that's it. Let's go ahead and get into the first guy, numero uno. So did you guys get into a lot of arguments in the beginning? Yes. For people who were in a long distance relationship and talked all the time, you would think that our communication was like the best ever, but our communication when we moved in together was horrible because of a few reasons. So this is specific to like long distance and moving in together and changing states and like all that stuff. So for me, I'm from Hawaii and my husband's from California. So I moved to California, left everything behind. My family, my friends, my job, basically it all was gone when I moved in, and I kind of felt like my identity disappeared. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what to do with my time, and the best thing I could do was just work and try to find like a job, but in the entertainment industry as an actress, as a model. So I did start working a few weeks after I moved to LA, and I'm actually going to link the video above about how I started working a few weeks after I moved to Hollywood, because that might give you guys some advice. Side note, if you're into that. So I did start working, and that helped a lot because it was like 2 weeks before I started working, and this was around the holidays, and I was missing my family, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna be with my husband for Christmas. Like, we had been long distance married for 3 months. Like, I just want to be with him. I want to start my life. But I knew I would miss my family. It's like I knew it was coming, but then I didn't know what exactly to expect, and I just felt like, wow, I have this high of being with my husband and celebrating holidays together, and then this very low of just like, I wish my family was here. Like, why are they so far away? And then just feeling like, how am I going to get to see them? How often am I going to get to see them? Would they move here? And just, it was just a lot of feelings going on in my mind where I just felt very out of control, very much just plucked out of my element and put into something new. My husband was working his full-time job, and on top of that, we were involved in an art ministry where we were constantly having meetings and events, and we literally just had too much extracurricular things going on that we should have just focused on, okay, we do need to work, we're trying to buy a house and make a life for ourselves, but as far as our relationship, because we had been long distance, we're living 2 separate lives, except for the few weeks or days we spend together every other month that are all about each other. So you go from like, oh, we're together all the time and this is great, to like, real life happens, he's back to his life, he's got his friends, his job, his car, and for me, I'm like, what do I do? And why doesn't he understand what I need. And I actually got an email after I sent basically announcements to my families like, hey, we're getting married, or we are already married. And I remember my uncle saying like, the one advice, the best advice I could give you right now is just like, men are not mind readers. Like, don't think that he's gonna know everything that you're thinking. And I was thinking like, of course, like I don't think anybody's a mind reader. Like I'm never gonna expect that of my husband. But apparently I did, because I'm like, he's a man of God. If he's praying hard enough, he should know exactly what to do. And like I shouldn't even have to tell him. And that's not a part of communication, to not tell each other what you need. Like a healthy relationship isn't just, he knows me so well, like we finish each other's sentences and he just knows, exactly. Like that takes time to cultivate. So right away, when we're like days into moving in together, basically, I guess I just expected it to be perfect. I'm like, we did so many things right in our single life. Like there's so many things we avoided, so many stuff that we didn't do. I just really thought God was gonna bless me with like perfection. Everything was gonna flow. We were gonna get our new house and everything just like within weeks. I just thought everything was gonna move very quickly in my favor. My mom tried to warn me that that wouldn't happen, and I was just like, why is she being so negative? I've prayed for this, like, and God told me to do this, so it's gonna work out. It has to work out perfectly. Why would she even think that it wouldn't? Like, doesn't she believe in our relationship? Like, doesn't she believe in the same God I believe in? And I've just very much didn't think that I would go through the rocky seasons that I did. But it's just life sometimes, and sometimes we're just learning things and figuring it out, and so it just takes time to do that. So for us, we did have to figure stuff out with our communication, and our styles were very different. Like Tia, stressed out, is a different Tia than the one who's like cool and we're going to have fun times like Tia. And it used to be really bad. Like I would get stressed out really easily back then. I've grown and I've learned and I've matured to where it takes a lot more to like get me stressed and frustrated and angry nowadays. But before it was just like, you didn't, say the right thing when we woke up today. Like, I'm not talking to you for days, dude. And he's just like, what am I doing? Like, what do you need me to do? And I'm like, you should just know. And so this went on for like probably a good 6 months, to where we got to a point where we're like, okay, like we have a better handle on our communication styles and how we love each other and just spending time with each other. But yeah, that was definitely a huge learning curve for us. So I would say, like, if you have a major life change, like it's already going to be interesting moving in together and being in the same place if you've never done that with this person. But on top of that, like having all this other stuff thrown in, man, like it was rough. Like I said, 6 months. I don't know if I was depressed, because I'm not a person who gets depressed a lot, fortunately. So I don't know exactly what that feels like, but it was definitely some days where I was like, I don't even want to get out of bed. I don't want to do anything. Like I don't want to eat. I don't want to do anything. I just want to sleep. But after I started working, I was like, okay, cool, I have stuff to do, and I have my own life. I have my own friends, and that was like over. So yeah, we got into a lot of different disagreements, and I've met a lot of people where even if they had lived in the same city and had been in a relationship for years, but once they moved in together, they're like, we got into the stupidest arguments, like over where the coffee cup should go, or like where the toothbrush should be stored away, or how much closet space, or like whatever the case is. There will be things, because it's a whole new thing, just sharing a space with someone and divvying up finances and chores and time together and work, and obviously your spiritual life and praying and reading the Bible together. Like that needs to be happening. So your priorities just need to be in order, and you just take it day by day, get counseling if you need to. I've met people who in their first year went to counseling because they're like, we're not going to make it. And they're doing really great today, like years later. And they're like, we just needed that like emergency, like go to the ER of marriage, like get counseling, get therapy. So if you think it's getting that bad, I would say to seek some help, and definitely seek the Lord. And if there's people who have wisdom, who are going to fight for your relationship, like being able to talk to them about it and say like, what can I do, or what can we do, or let's sit down together. So all those things do help, because it is going to get rough sometimes, and it's not going to be perfect for a majority of people. So the next question, number 2, is how awkward is the move-in stage. I've never lived with a man before. How's the initial feeling? There's a few things, that's a really good question. There's a few feelings that come up with that. For me, like I said, it's such a different thing. I left my whole life behind, you know, to be with this person. Like, if you don't have that aspect of it and you're just focused on we found a place, we're moving in and everything, the initial feelings are definitely like excitement, especially for me being long distance. It's like I get to be with him but also sleep in the same bed and wake up together, go to bed together. Like, this is just so cool. Like, we're together. It's like slumber party all the time. That's how I always felt, was like we get to have a sleepover like every night. This is so great. But also it was like weird because getting used to having someone in your bed, I just remember this thought for months probably, where I'm just looking at him sleeping and I'm like, there is a grown man in my bed. Like, he's right there. Like, he is a grown adult male. Like, I've never had that. It's just like cool, but a weird cool. And the other thing is just getting to know what each other looks like when you really do wake up. And you're all like, your hair's standing up, your breath doesn't smell super fresh, maybe you farted. Like, it's just like things where you're like, oh no, like they're gonna see like this side of me that's not presentable or whatever. But I think that kind of passed really quickly, where I was just like, I don't care, you know, if my hair doesn't look good, if I woke up and I don't smell the best, I'm me. And like, he don't look perfect when he wakes up either. So just getting used to that was like interesting. But yeah, it's more like cool and just like, hey, like we can actually just talk all night, like how couples have pillow talk, and you're like, hey, it's the end of the day and we don't have to be on the phone doing this, or I don't have to like leave at a certain time, and we can just be in bed together. Like, because I had never slept with anybody, just sleeping or intimate wise, neither one of us had. So it was just like, this is so cool. Like, it was just really cool. Besides all the other things, tornado things that were going on in my life, it was just like really cool to be like, we're, you know, super close and I love him, and like we get to cuddle and everything. So it's fun. The next thing, after the honeymoon, how do you keep life fun and not boring? Like going back to the same routine. He was the only one who had like a routine of like going to work and going to meetings and going to church, like people that he's been around for years. And that took us time to figure out, like, what do we want to do that's fun? Like, we like to do stuff and like, oh, we're going out to eat, or I don't know, having fun going to the beach or whatever. Like, I think we just had to be really intentional, because you're right, like time can get away from you very fast. Now I feel like we have a better handle on it, because in the beginning it was, like I said, we just were doing too much, because he had work every single day throughout the week. I was working, then Sunday church, and like Saturdays we'd have meetings, and it's like we literally hardly ever had a day just to even just sit and chill in bed and watch movies. Like, that's the kind of stuff that I like to do too. It's like, I just don't want to get up. I just want to watch shows all day, like sometimes. Or if I want to get out and not have to be like, oh, we're going out with friends or we're going out with these people. Like, no, just take me and let's just go and talk somewhere. Let's walk on the beach. Like, let's do stuff that is cool about California. And we did at some point get annual passes to Disneyland, since we live in the LA County. So that was really cool to be able to just be like, we're just going to Disneyland on a Wednesday, yay, like, and stuff like that. So that was cool. But yeah, we just really had to be intentional, and that was a conversation we had to have after I was not doing well emotionally. It was an adjustment period. It was a transition that we had to be intentional about, but we like doing similar things. We just had to make sure to plan it out to make sure that it gets done, because you'll get tired, you'll get busy, you'll be like, oh, this came up, and it's like, things will come up, but you don't have to do it. I don't care. That baby shower came up last minute, oh well, not going. Like, and that's kind of how I feel a lot nowadays. It's just like, my peace of mind, my quality time, my rest means a lot more to me than going to stuff that I don't want to go to. So like, that just over time God has helped us a lot with understanding what's healthy for us, and not just like, we gotta do it because we gotta be there and we gotta like make it happen, and like we want to be good people or we want to serve each other, but to the detriment of ourself. Like, no, we can't do that anymore. So next question, number 4. What expectations should we not have as a newlywed? 2 things I would say is like, don't expect it to be amazing, but also don't expect it to be horrible. Like, don't feel like, oh, like I'm postponing the wedding because like I know newlywed stage is gonna be super hard. Like, I hear people talk about it and it might ruin our relationship, so I'm not even gonna get married. And there's people who do that. They will either not get married, or they'll be like, oh, it's just a piece of paper, we moved in together and it's fine, but that piece of paper doesn't mean anything. And a lot of people who get that piece of paper, they get divorced, so why bother? And like, it's a blessing, but it's just understanding it as a learning curve and a transition phase and a time to really learn about each other, learn about each other's family, learn about each other's past, learn about how each other communicates, what makes each other feel loved. So right off the bat, like, that's definitely a conversation you should have, is like, what is your love list? Like, what does it take to make you specifically like feel loved? Because some people, there's that whole like, oh, love languages, quality time, love and affection, gifts, like, but they're very general. Like, you may like gifts, but it's food related. Like, don't buy me a watch, like I like Cheetos, like, or don't get me food, I want a ring. Like, whatever the case is, just be clear about that. Or if it's personal time, I want personal time on Saturdays because the week is really hard for me and I just want to decompress. Or I need to hike on Sundays to prep for my week. I really feel good when you like pack me some really cool snacks and get me some healthy trail mix. Like, those things, like, be very specific about like what delights you, because your spouse wants to do that for you, but having to decode it and figuring it out on their own, like, it's just extra steps that don't have to happen. Like, marriage is not a scavenger hunt. This is something that you want to just really be well as. Like, you want to study for that test so you can complete the test well. You don't want it to be like, oh, pop quiz every time. And it's like, why did I fail today? Well, you should have known, because remember last week, I left you clues. Like, I'm not doing it. I'm not playing Blue's Clues with you. I'm not. Not. And I don't expect my husband to do that either. And I used to do that to him a lot. And so I've learned that it doesn't work. So just be open and let each other know what your expectations are and what helps you feel loved, and like, that could help a lot with the process. But definitely don't be afraid of it and feel like you should avoid it at all costs. And definitely don't feel like, oh, this person will finally complete you and they'll make you so happy. Like, it's not going to solve all your problems and they're not going to complete you or anything like that. This is just a really cool partnership and a way to serve the Lord together. There's a lot of blessings that come with it. Like, it's awesome, but it also takes time to get used to it and to really understand each other, because you're going to be growing and changing through different life phases. So you should always be checking in with each other through every life phase. So this should be number 5. I should get some water. Whew. Okay. Alright, number 5. Do you ever get tired of being around each other? I'm introverted and I feel like I would need my space. Tired of being around each other when we were newlyweds? No, I felt like we didn't, for me personally, our situation, I felt like we didn't have enough time around each other, and the only time I didn't want him around is if I was really angry. And I was like, I don't care, don't talk to me. In that sense, no, but I feel like there have been definitely times in our marriage where I've needed to do my own thing just to not lose who I was, especially when I became a mom. And this can happen to some people who are married and you just feel like, oh, I'm a wife now. Like, what does that mean? Who am I? What do I do? And you just kind of have like an identity crisis for a little while. And so I can see that, like, in my motherhood, how that happened, where you're just like, I need to do something for me. So I'd say if you are introverted and you need your space, it's not going to be a problem that you're married. You're going to love this person. You're going to wait on God for them, and they're going to be great for you. And you're going to deal with things, and you're going to go through ups and downs, but you're going to figure it out. But I'd say if you're just not a social type of person, I would say making that clear. Like, you don't want to go to every single birthday party, wedding, baby shower, friends event, social gathering, barbecue, beach day. You can just make it clear, like, I got one of those a month in me, like, for real, like, I got one a month. And just be clear about that, because I'm like that too. I am very introverted. For someone who's on stages, on cameras, on runways, on photo shoots. Like, I personally am super cool just being by myself and hanging out. And I used to just read a lot of books. When I was in like elementary school, middle school, high school, I would just be reading books all the time. I had friends and stuff, but I was really okay just literally reading a book. And nowadays I'm kind of the same way. Like, I love reading articles. I like watching really cool YouTube videos, really good movies, and like, I'm okay with that, but I don't want my family to just be trapped in the house and stuff, or just not see people. So like, I do go out and make sure that I go out of my way, that it's like making new experience for us. So just having that healthy balance is going to help you to not get burnt out. And if you do need a day a week where you're like, I love you, but I'm gonna be reading for Sundays, like that's what I want to do, or like two days out of the month, like just let me sit in bed and like watch YouTube videos all day. Like, just make it clear and have a conversation out of it, so that you're not feeling like, oh, there's always people I gotta talk to, or like he's always with me. Like, give him that clear communication that you just need your space sometimes. But I promise you though, like, you waiting on the right person, like he's gonna understand that, and he's also like, you're gonna love being around him, and you're not gonna feel like it's too much where you're just like, oh, like I need a break. Number 6 is there any way to really prepare yourself for the newlywed season? Having wise counsel around you of married couples that you admire to just be able to talk to, because if you have people where you're like, they are able to squash like disagreements and get to common ground really fast, or like they're always having fun, I want to have fun, or like whatever it is, and you know they're not just faking it or whatever for the public. People that you genuinely trust, if it's in your family, if it's in your friends, if it's at your church or whatever, just being able to ask them like, hey guys, like, how was the newlywed season for you? Or what would you advise us to do? What's helped you? My small group in Hawaii, my small group of women from my church, they actually made a little booklet for me. Different wives from the church gave me some advice of like the newlywed phase, and I thought that was just like really cool, because it's like you can read it and look at it and be like, okay, like this is normal, or this is really good advice or whatever. So having like Christian, like godly counsel from people that you can talk to ahead of time. And also, if you already know them, when you are in the newlywed season, they're going to be able to help you through it. Because if you are like, okay, it's been 3 weeks and like he don't understand what I need, and then they're like, well, have you told him? And you'll be like, no. And they'll be like, okay, well, just tell him like what your issue is, like you guys can talk about it. Or if, you know, other issues come up and you want to have like a couple on couple like dialogue with people to work through some things, like it's good to have that support around you. So that's a good way to prepare, because there's a lot of books I'm sure you could read and stuff online, but there's honestly nothing like that, like people who are like-minded, who really get it, who are in your corner, who you can talk to face, be in the same room with, and just be like, oh good, like I feel so much better after this. I feel like I got some more tools to help me to move forward. So that's definitely a good way to prepare. And like I said, stay prayerful. Do not allow this to be a thing that becomes your idol and your focus. Is like this relationship and this marriage, like keep God at the center of your life. Keep praying to him. Have your quiet time with him. Make sure you're praying with your future husband and reading the Bible with him and keeping your relationship with God strong, because that ultimately is going to be your lifeline for your marriage, because you're with them every single day. Other people can only help you so much because they're not like living with you your whole marriage and like kind of helping you through it. You like, this is your thing. This is your thing that God gave you, and he's the one who's going to know this and this and this and this is what you need to keep doing spiritually. And other people can add encouragement and wisdom, but they are not going to make or break your marriage though. Like that's up to you guys to rely on God to keep it going. And this is the last question of the day. Were you scared to get pregnant right away? I had a conversation with my husband and I was just like, yeah, I do want to have a discussion about baby planning, because I want babies really bad. I've always wanted a baby since I was a baby. I think they're amazing, but my husband was like, let's get stabilized, like let's figure, you know, things out with our relationship first. Our lives, our careers, and everything before we start, you know, going in the wind and allowing anything to happen. Because there are people who literally get pregnant on their honeymoon and like they're cool with it and everything, but there are certain faiths that do believe like if you use any contraceptive or even like plan around your period, like you are committing some sort of sin. I don't agree with that. I don't believe there's anything in the Bible that says that. God does say that like kids are a blessing. He says marriage is a blessing. And he said blessed is a man whose quiver is full, meaning a quiver of arrows being like a metaphor for like children. And I understand that like I do eventually want a big family, but really thinking about it logically, I was like, are we ready for that? Like we weren't like ready to be popping out babies, like especially looking back at our history of like finances and things that we've been through and stuff. Like it just would not have been good. It would have been irresponsible for us. But there are some people who are like, I don't care, I have the money, I have the house, like give me the babies, and they're cool with it. But for us, I'm glad that we waited. I do believe there is a way to be foolish in your faith where you're just like, everything is everything, it'll all work out, let's just blow in the wind, and that has never gotten us anywhere. But seeking the Lord definitely has. And when we conceived our daughter, like we were in agreement that like it's time to try. Like we had already had a miscarriage before that, and we were okay if we had already had that baby. But months went by, and then we tried to conceive again. We got pregnant really fast, and then we have our daughter who's now 4.5. And then after that, I was like, babies are hard. Like babies are really hard. Like, or just my baby is really hard. Like she's a lot. Like it's just a lot. So I was like, maybe we'll wait this many years. And I remember like people saying like, I feel like you're gonna have a lot of babies back to back. And I was like, I don't know who told you that. That ain't me. That ain't happening. Like I'm just trying to survive right now. Like the first whole year of Petra was just like, I'm trying to survive. Like I literally felt like I was trying to just keep up and survive, because it was just like way more than I anticipated motherhood would be. And then after that, I was like, okay, maybe next year. Okay, maybe next year. And she's almost 5, and like there's no baby. So we purposely chose like we need time where we feel at peace about even trying again. We should be like prayerful and being able to see logistically what's happening in our lives, and that it's just not time. Or even just emotionally, like for a long time I'm like, I'm just really not ready for a whole nother human. Like I'm just not ready. Like we're good as a family of 3 right now. That's all I have to say about pregnancy, I guess. But I know there's a lot of people who have a lot of different opinions about contraceptives and pregnancy and kids and all of that stuff. But talk to God about that, because that's a personal thing to try to put on people of like, oh, I did it this way, so you should do it this way. Especially if it's like not things the Bible actually says. But I do want to pray for you guys, talking about the whole newlywed phase, because some of you guys might be engaged, some of you guys might be scared about even the thought of being a newlywed. So let's go ahead and pray about that. Lord God, we come before you today. We thank you for allowing us to serve you. We love you very much, and we want to just submit to you and honor you with our lives. So I just thank you, God, that you are with us and that we don't have to be afraid wherever you lead us. So we love you, Lord God. I do pray that everyone watching this, that they will have gotten something out of it that you needed to say to them, and that thing will just be rooted firmly in their spirit, and that you just help them throughout this process of maybe they are a newlywed and they're like, this is hard, or they're engaged and they're like, I don't know what to expect, or they're fearful about it and avoiding it like the plague. But I just pray that you give them peace about it and help them through it, and help surround them with the right people who are going to support them through it and help them in the process, and give them wise counsel, and just help them to just seek you in all of it and have peace that you are their refuge, you are their strength. And I just thank you so much for being with us today. I pray that your will be done in their lives, Lord. In Jesus' name, amen. Alright, that's all I have for today. Thank you so much for watching this. Every Sunday I'm talking about my faith in God and what He's doing in my life. On Wednesdays I do more personal videos about just vlogging my life or my career or my family time or beauty and fashion and stuff like that. So come visit me on Wednesdays and Sundays. Also, if you want to see more videos like this coming, you can go ahead and support my channel in a couple different ways. The first is to buy my merchandise. I have things on shirts, on pillows, on wall art and stuff like that, and a portion of those sales goes to keeping videos like this going. Also, I have a secure PayPal link where you can donate an amount of your choosing. Any amount helps. Thank you for all of the support that you guys have already given me. I'm really always literally genuinely blown away, and I'm just so grateful for you guys. So thank you for that. And if you want to be alerted about when I upload next, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Also click on that notification bell so that you don't miss a beat when I post. And I will see you in my next video. Bye bye. This is so much headspace. Okay. Is this where I was? What can you see? What can you see? Come on! Okay, this is what it's gonna be now. Okay. Let me do that, huh? How about you do that? How about you get some water? How about you do that?